Right now on the National Weather Desk, a winter storm hits the Pacific Northwest. Longtime residents know what could happen if too much snow falls.
I've been stranded up here as long as 7 days at a time.
Human-triggered avalanches pose a life and death risk to skiers in the Montana mountains.
The only way you're going to survive is if you have a partner to come get you.
We have some tips for homeowners who are plagued by icicles hanging off their home's roof.
Try and remove any sort of piles of snow that have built up near your building's foundation. That way, as melting happens, you don't get basement flooding concerns.
Identifying the nation's heat islands, it's a project that hopes to improve the health of many Americans.
Some groups definitely face a greater risk of heat-related illnesses than others.
And a unique look at how much snow fell during Buffalo's lake effect storm.
If you would have tried to walk out your front door in the Buffalo area, you would have been greeted with a wall of snow.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Big news this morning out of Italy. An unusually heavy amount of rain triggered massive and deadly landslide on the Italian island of Ischia. Nearly 5 inches of rain fell in 6 hours. Officials there say it was the heaviest rain in 2 decades. Search and rescue operations continue for victims. At least 8 people have been rescued. More than 200 people have been evacuated from the area. But sadly, at least 7 people were killed, including a 3-week-old baby. The search is still on for others who went missing during the landslide. And on Saturday, a tornado touched down in Louisiana, about 30 miles just southwest of New Orleans. And while there were some downed trees and property damage, no one was killed or seriously injured. The National Weather Service says the twister was an EF1, 200 yards wide and packing winds of 100 miles per hour. There is a risk for severe thunderstorms and tornadoes across portions of the South tomorrow, including Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee. And in the Pacific Northwest, a winter storm warning continues through this morning. Heavy snow is falling in the Cascade Mountains. Snow was also falling over the weekend, causing some problems for folks trying to drive through some of the mountain passes. Let's head now to the pass where Seattle reporter Mo Hader caught up with drivers who were dealing with the challenging commute.
From dealing with rain, then snow, it was a tough commute for many drivers going through Snoqualmie Pass.
I had to drive with caution, make sure I'm not going to take a turn and break loose.
While there were some issues on the road, others say it was worth leaving early and the Herta storm was on its way.
When I learned about the snowstorm coming in, I decided it'd be better to get through it earlier in the evening.
I wasn't planning on driving during that time, to be completely honest. That's why I'm trying to get over there earlier than later.
WashDOT officials say they have 30 snowplows out from Snoqualmie Pass to Ellensburg. They're advising people to be ready for tough conditions.
As the storm moves in, drivers need to realize that it's not going to be bare and wet conditions because, again, we're dealing with several inches up to a foot of snow. So drivers definitely need to be cautious and prepare to drive in compact snow and ice.
Some who are used to driving through snow say it comes with other challenges.
You got to watch out for the other guy and be really cautious of the other drivers on the road, as you're going.
Now, the heavy snow isn't only an issue for drivers. People living near the pass are also getting ready.
We're actually set up for long time closures. I've been stranded up here as long as 7 days at a time.
Montana has also seen a lot of early season snowfall this year, and that's causing a problem. Avalanches triggered by backcountry skiers. Let's head to Bozeman, Montana, where Jonathan May has more.
This image is the aftermath of an avalanche in the Bridger Mountains north of Bozeman on Thursday. A skier triggered the slide, and the avalanche carried them roughly 45 yards downhill.
People are getting out. They're getting out backcountry skiing and snowmobiling right now. And we've heard of some human-triggered avalanches that are happening.
The skier had a partner watching their back and escaped with no injuries.
Even a small avalanche, a very small avalanche, if you're buried, either completely buried or you're buried upside down where your head and arms are in the snow, you can't get up. You can't get out. And the only way you're going to survive is if you have a partner to come get you.
New snow and wind are combining to create instabilities on slopes. Another pair of skiers witnessed what appeared to be another human-triggered avalanche, also in the Bridgers on Thanksgiving. Nobody was caught or injured.
As you're getting out, it's a good idea to treat it as though it's midwinter.
Right now, forecasters say the primary concern is triggering avalanches in the recent drifts of snow, advising caution when skiing across steep slopes.
A lot of snow out there, and people are kind of hitting it and getting after it, which we like to see, but you want to be safe.
Chabot says those venturing should carry a beacon, rescue gear, and shovel. Also, brush up on current snow conditions and make sure you and your partner can handle backcountry terrain.
You only want to bite off what you can chew.
While some dealt with twisters and snow, folks in Wisconsin had unseasonably warm weather, and some got out to soak up the warmth. If you're from the warmer part of the United States, as you watch this, just remember that pleasant is relative. Let's go to Green Bay, Wisconsin, where Lydia Anderson has more.
Tim DeBeck took advantage of the nice weather to set up his Christmas decorations.
It's nice out today to do this. Usually I'm going deer hunting, but I got a deer, so I can do this.
DeBeck hand-carved and painted each piece in the display. He says it takes him about 8 hours to set it all up, so he was grateful for Saturday's weather.
No, I'm usually cold, because I usually set it up the week after deer hunting.
There are around 70 pieces to the display. The DeBeck family has had this tradition for 20 years and regularly receives letters from people in the community showing their support.
Well, we're going to be putting up all this gingerbread village. I'm making a hill here and making a snow hill and stuff, and then I got Santa and all that was going to put on the back fence. So
families used Saturday sunshine as an opportunity to pick up their Christmas trees from the Whispering Pines lot in De Pere.
It's usually pretty cold when you come to get a Christmas tree, so this is kind of nice. I kind of wish it was snowing.
Zola Cambandu-Shills says although she likes the warm weather, it's a bit harder to get in the Christmas spirit.
I definitely do prefer snow to get in the Christmas spirit. Like, I feel like once it starts snowing, that's when I'm like, oh, I gotta watch Christmas movies, I need the hot chocolate.
It's not every day that people in northeast Wisconsin are able to go sledding and ice skating in nearly 50-degree weather for the last weekend in November.
Well, it's 50 degrees out. It's like a heat wave for us, so we decided to spend the day outside, come here skating for the first time ever.
Titletown saw a busy day Saturday with many taking in what could be the last warm day of the season.
You have to take advantage of it, you guys. You got to get off the couch and get outside.
And I'd be loving it. 10 days ago, the Buffalo region was grappling with an onslaught of lake effect snow. Orchard Park, where the Buffalo Bills play, got about 80 inches of snowfall. Meteorologist Phil DeCastro, who works in Green Bay, Wisconsin, tries to put it all in perspective.
Let's start here. 6 feet 9 inches. I'm 6'3". I would have been buried head to toe with 6 inches to spare. Well, what about just walking out your front door? Well, I don't think so. These are the front doors of Fox 11. If you would have tried to walk out your front door in the Buffalo area, yeah, you would have been greeted with a wall of snow. I don't think that's happening. Thinking about trying to drive somewhere? Yeah, not until that heavy equipment can come through and try to clear the streets. Even the Fox 11 Storm Chaser would have been buried to over the roof line. Maybe you get a wind reading. That's probably about it. How about practicing your Lambo leap? Well, unless you're going to be dropping in from a ladder, I don't think you're going to be too successful on this one. In fact, even the Packers players themselves, if they would have tried a Lambo leap after this snowfall, wouldn't have been able to do it. That's because the walls in there only average about 6 feet tall. Not going to cut it. So no matter how you measure it, this most recent snowstorm isn't one that the residents of Western New York will be forgetting anytime soon.
The Thanksgiving holiday is over, but we wanted you to have one last look at some turkeys. These are a flock of wild turkeys that were spotted in Mills River, North Carolina. Wild turkeys typically live in mature forests, but you may see them along roads and woodsy backyards. After being hunted out in large parts of their range, turkeys were reintroduced and are now numerous once again. And if you are curious, wild turkeys taste different than the domestic turkeys that people traditionally eat on Thanksgiving. Coming up on the National Weather Desk, have you ever heard of a snow squall? We'll show you what it is and why it's so dangerous for drivers. And icicles might be pretty to look at, but they can pose a pretty serious danger to your home. All right, let's test your weather wit now as we go to break. What's the driest desert in the world? Is it the Sahara, is it the Atacama, or the Kalahari? We'll give you the answer when we return.
Highs this morning feeling pretty seasonable out there. 52 degrees in Boston, 53 in New York City, 45 degrees in Portland. Kind of those rain showers now scattering out of the region today with sunshine returning. More of a clear sky as we approach tonight, heading on into your Tuesday. Some snow showers possible for the higher elevations here up in northern Maine, as well as some rainfall potentially up to an inch possible across northern New England here in the region.
Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with a look at the mid-Atlantic region. We'll start with nice and dry weather following rain yesterday. Many of us start with cloudy skies, and then by the afternoon we'll have a little more sunshine moving in. As we make our way overnight and then head into Tuesday, high pressure will gradually build over the region. That's going to lead to mostly sunny skies throughout the day on Tuesday and nice and pleasant weather. High temperatures this afternoon reach the 40s and 50s, then overnight numbers fall to the 30s and 40s.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your southeast highs for the day. Nashville on a cool number at 57 degrees. Charleston at 71, 68 in Macon. Jacksonville 78 degrees. Those 80s still holding down in South Florida, feeling pretty good. We do have a frontal boundary pushing through the area, through parts of South Florida, bringing them some fog. But it looks like once this front pushes east, we're seeing a little bit cooler air across the southeast. A lot of dry conditions as we go through Monday afternoon, Monday night. Looks like we won't probably see any showers until later this week.
Before the break, I asked you what's the driest desert in the world. Is it the Sahara, the Atacama, or the Kalahari? The answer, it's the Atacama in Chile. It's the driest desert on Earth, usually getting less than a half an inch of rain a year. Now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. We'll start down south in Orange, Texas, where they'll see plenty of sunshine. Look at that bright sky. High temperatures about 75 degrees. Oh, that's pretty. And moving up now to Covington, Kentucky, there where skies are overcast. Temperatures should get to just under 50 degrees today in Covington. And more overcast skies also appear in Syracuse, New York. Chance of a shower or even some wet snow is possible in the afternoon with a high temperature of 41 degrees. And we'll end today with the brighter skies in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Nothing but sunshine and an afternoon temperature of 71 degrees. Well, it's often overlooked as a threat, but extreme heat is one of the leading causes of weather-related illness and death. And where you live can make that threat even higher. NOAA has been mapping out temperatures in cities across the nation to study these differences and are finding solutions to inequity. Emily Gracie recently spoke with a NOAA scientist about the heat mapping initiative.
We are examining the urban heat island effect, which is that cities are typically much warmer than the nearby rural areas, especially during the summer, as cities' roads and buildings gain heat during the day, and then they radiate that heat back into the surrounding air, which can lead to cities in some cases being 15 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit than areas with more green spaces. So in 2017, NOAA NIHIS, the National Integrated Heat Health Information System, partnered with private sector Kappa Strategies to launch these community-led campaigns that map the hottest parts of these cities to learn where action is needed. And volunteers work with the campaign organizers to go out on one of the hottest days of the summer and attach sensors from, again, private sector company Kappa Strategies to their cars or their bikes, and they travel around these predetermined routes to collect temperature and humidity data during 3 different times of the day, in the morning, the afternoon, and evening.
Why isn't heat-related illness equitable right now?
Some groups definitely face a greater risk of heat-related illnesses than others. So for instance, outdoor workers and athletes are at a greater risk than office workers just because they have that increased exposure to heat. And other groups may be disproportionately affected by the effects of heat as a result of age or poor health, or the lack of resources that enable them to really adapt or recover, such as having access to AC, transportation to get to a cooling shelter on a hot day.
And how are you going to move forward to make heat-related illness more equitable?
Seattle, King County out in Washington was able to use the data to implement their first extreme heat mitigation strategy. Honolulu, Hawaii was able to implement some tree planting strategies. Richmond, Virginia, and Boston, Massachusetts were able to take the data and implement into educational materials in a museum. So it's a wide range of ways that people can use the data. And we're really excited just the breadth of different ways that people are doing this and help that in the future, as we're continuing to expand our program, going into more communities and finding out more information about heat and health, that, you know, we can provide more solutions and help these communities be able to get there.
Morgan told Emily they're currently accepting applications for the 2023 Heat Island study, and they look forward to adding more communities to that network of data. A longer version of this interview and all of our interviews can be found on YouTube. All you have to do is search at NatWX National Weather Desk. Hey, if you're from the Great Lakes region, you probably already know what a snow squall is. But if not, you'll soon find out how they form and why they're so dangerous to travel. In fact, they're so dangerous, the National Weather Service issues snow squall warnings, just like if there was a severe thunderstorm or a tornado warning. Let's go to Syracuse, New York now, where meteorologist Violet Skyber explains.
Snow squalls are different from lake effect snow bands. These are usually very intense bursts of snow and wind with a sudden onset of this heavy snowfall. So you could go from a blue sky to something that looks like this. And also with this intense burst of snow and wind, it can create near whiteout or even fully whiteout conditions. And on top of that, because the snow is coming down so heavily, it can cause rapidly deteriorating road conditions. So a neighborhood could go from that green grass to then looking like this. And it's hard for snowplows to catch up with these type of events. So it's best just not to drive through them or just stay off the roads completely. Then after this event ends, which is usually a short duration, less than 2 hours, and sometimes it can only be a few minutes, we can go back to seeing a blue sky after that snow squall, very thin band, passes by. So that's why these are so dangerous, and hopefully you guys stay safe driving this winter.
Plenty of areas throughout the country have dealt with significant snow. Some are dealing with it as we speak, but if your home has some big icicles hanging from the roof after the snowfall that you just had, keep in mind this could mean issues for your home. Let's go now to Kalamazoo, Michigan, where meteorologist Will Haney explains.
Icicles dangling from the edge of your home, especially larger ones like you see behind me, could mean trouble for your roof and home as temperatures rise. They also could reveal that your insulation is a little lacking.
As heat is released through your roof, that melts a layer of snow underneath what we're able to see. That water then drips down to the edge of your roof and into the gutter, freezing when temperatures fall below 32. Now, problems arise when water hits that ice dam and gets backed up under the shingles. This can lead to moisture getting into the interior of your roof and home. Sunny days above freezing followed by much colder nights can make the problem worse. Experts recommend using a telescoping roof rake to remove snow and ice buildup from the edge of your roof. It's a good tool to have because it would be dangerous to hop on a ladder with snow and ice on the ground. You can also purchase roof ice melt tablets, which are made of a salt solution safe to use on your roof and home. Some people even put those in their gutters to try and keep them free of ice.
Another pro tip is to try and remove any sort of piles of snow that have built up near your building's foundation. That way, as melting happens, you don't get basement flooding concerns.
Check for any indications of moisture on the inside of any exterior walls. My garage here was fine, but any water inside would be a much more serious problem, requiring a professional.
And please use a little common sense before you just go breaking off icicles from your home. Keep an eye out for those kiddos too. Sometimes they get some ideas. And for something bigger like this, sometimes it's just best to let it run its course. You can obviously imagine if you were to break that off too quick, get a little careless, something like that could definitely leave a mark, not only on you, but also your home. Some things to think about as we get into winter.
Fantastic tips. As we head to break now, let's take to the skies of beautiful Seattle and the gorgeous Puget Sound.
Well, a very good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Dry across most of the Midwest for the day today. We got a little bit of snow kicking in from the west, a little rain out to the east moving, and all in all, temperatures kind of cool for most of us. We do have snow moving in, though, for the day tomorrow, and the winds are going to pick up with that and getting a lot colder behind it. As we move ahead into your Wednesday, that colder air blasts in from most of the plains, and it fires up some rain across the Ohio Valley for early Wednesday. A little cooler for midweek.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. Very cold air blasting through the Pacific Northwest and even into east of the Rockies, bringing temperatures down well below normal. This is from a cold front that's ushering in this cold air mass, bringing in a lot of mountain snow, some valley rainfall, or some rain snow mixed, along with very windy conditions. That's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
This time-lapse video shows a clear, gorgeous Rhode Island sunset. This was taken from the fishing village of Galilee, overlooking the village of Jerusalem across Point Judith Harbor. What a photographer captured on a Midwest clear night? A moon sliver. One day past the new moon phase. More and more will be visible until the moon reaches full stage on December 7th.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
Let's check out some of the awesome content you send our way through Chime In Now. Tis the season, that is, to let the felines decorate and have fun with the lights, like this little cat named Lily from Tennessee. Oh, so cute. And this peaceful-looking snapshot of an early morning in North Carolina. And let's head now to Rhode Island and enjoy this rich-hued sunrise. Makes a person want to just stop and bask in those sunny rays. And we would love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search at NatWX Desk or National Weather Desk, and we'll be right back. Thanks for spending a small part of your morning with the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Make it a great Monday, and I know you'll keep an eye on the sky.